ideas until one person in the room presents a bad suggestion. Everyone in the room thinks this is a horrible idea, but no one says anything at all or disagrees with the person who made the suggestion. Because it appears that everyone agrees, nobody speaks up against the horrible idea in fear that if they speak up, they'll be shut down and mocked by the rest of the group. If I told you that this phenomenon almost led to a nuclear war in the invasion of a country, you would probably think I'm crazy. But that's exactly what happened in 1961, when the CIA presented President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, with an invasion plan for Cuba. The idea was to invade Cuba with 1,500 soldiers. Cuba had a military of over 200,000 soldiers. You might have heard of this disaster. It's called the Bay of Pigs, and it led to the Cuban Missile Crisis. Worse than the Cold War, and almost led to a nuclear war between the US and Russia. Groupthink is responsible for the Bay of Pigs invasion. Now, what does the Cuban Missile Crisis have to do with some drama on Reddit? Let's go back to the start, when all the groupthink in the RuneScape community began. It must have been 3 or 4 years ago that Emilyispro told her stream she was diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia.
I was diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia,
also known as CLL, a type of cancer which usually doesn't do much harm, but it can cause complications by weakening the immune system. My father has the exact same type of cancer and has had it for over 10 years now. He's perfectly fine, by the way. Sometime after announcing this, Emily decided she didn't want to talk about CLL and wanted to keep her personal life personal. Everything was fine. Several months go by with no drama. In comes Son on Old School, a Twitch streamer who is now permanently banned on Twitch, who out of nowhere, without any evidence, decided to start a rumor. This rumor being that Emily faked having cancer. This is where the hate started growing. This is where the hive mind began. This is where the groupthink started. Because she chose to ignore the issue completely, the idea spread like wildfire. Very quickly, the false claim became a fake fact. I'm not exaggerating when I say at least 90% of the community believe this rumor is a hard and undeniable fact, despite there being no evidence of her denying she had cancer. If you ever tried to say anything on Reddit about her, you would be downvoted and your post would be removed by the moderators. I exaggerate not. This is a sent to a moderator of Reddit Old School Runescape, asking very kindly for permission to make a thread stating the facts of the drama in a fashion that avoids witch hunting. The post was denied because the moderator said I can't make a post about Twitch streamers because they aren't related to RuneScape. But wait, I see posts about RuneScape Twitch streamers all the time. Why are there thousands of posts about Twitch streamers which aren't being removed? In addition, recently the entire front page has been filled with witch hunting posts, despite this being against the direct rule of the subreddit not to accuse players of wrongdoing. So why was my post denied and others allowed? 2 words: selective moderation. 2 months ago I made a video which explained that the rumor about Emily had no evidence or basis in facts and that it was just a rumor. I was one of the first YouTubers to ever do this. I happily stood against the false beliefs of 99% of the community. Surprisingly, I actually did well, considering the video now has 85,000 views and an almost 70% like ratio. Later, Oakdice made a video with me in saying that Twitch would have permanently banned her if the rumor was indeed true. But those 2 videos weren't enough and the circle jerking continued. So now let's talk about this balloon of hatred and witch hunting that has just exploded. Over the past few days there have been complaints of players being banned for being part of racist in-game flash mobs. Basically the players would equip white robes to resemble the Ku Klux Klan and would walk around with noose wands and follow black characters, essentially being racist and advocating white supremacy. The noose wands they walked around with were implying that black people should be hung by a noose. They would also light fires in the shape of burning crosses or burning swastikas. Many of these players were banned for racism. The logic behind the bans was this: you can get permanently muted for typing extremely racist messages. The purpose of the mute is to stop the communication of racist ideas. When people dress as the KKK and follow black character with nooses, they are also being racist, except a mute won't stop a player from dressing as the KKK. The only option to stop the communication of racist ideas was a temporary ban, and in the case of repeat offenders, a permanent ban. I see nothing wrong with these bans, and they're completely fair and justified. If you're communicating ethnic hatred and white supremacy, it should be stopped. Another post by a user known as Bazinga CX showed him receiving a temporary 2-day ban for player harassment. He included a video of his ban, and the video showed the same flash mob of female characters with bald heads crying. In the video there was also a white knight to mock the so-called white knights, or people who might defend her, and a black knight, the opposite of a white knight, to represent hatred, dislike, and contempt. This video reached over 50,000 views. As you can imagine, people were outraged that a guy saying nothing while dressed as a black knight was banned. I was outraged as well. The evidence which came from one of Emily's past broadcasts showed him not saying anything at all. He didn't do anything, nor did he promote racism that could be seen on the Twitch stream. So why was it then that he was banned? That was the important question. These posts led to hundreds of people going on a witch hunt against ModMattK on Reddit, saying he abused his power. Some people went as far as to say they're unsubscribing from RuneScape and leaving the game. Before he could even reply to the whole situation, people were saying ModMattK should be fired for abuse of power. This was witch hunting. It's making assumptions based on very little information and evidence, and demanding extreme action be taken in response. Around 24 hours after the witch hunting began against ModMattK, Mod Ronan made a post saying that the players were not banned in relation to crying in the background of a live stream. They were banned for harassing several different individuals as part of racist flash mobs on previous occasions, and for literally spending their time on the game spreading racism, hatred, and abuse. Mod Ronan said there were chat logs, but he wasn't going to release them, because chat logs are private, and he didn't want to set a precedent to release players' private information. Instantly, thousands of players demanded to see the chat logs. People claimed Jagex made fake excuses to defend themselves. People claimed there were no chat logs at all. These were masses of people accusing Mod Ronan and ModMattK of lying. In fact, a straw poll with over 15,000 votes players whether they wanted to see the chat logs, only 2% said no. I was one of those 2%. The reason Jagex doesn't show chat logs is because it's a breach of privacy, but people demanded and demanded and demanded. Bazinga CX, who was dressed as a Black Knight, even made a post saying to release his chat logs because he was so confident that he had not broken any rules. Mod Ronan called his bluff. 24 hours later, the chat logs were released, showing the bans were indeed perfectly justified. Just hours before, people were practically calling for ModMattK's head, and now everyone supports him again? My friends, this is what witch hunting does. Oh, and let's talk about another user who reached the front page who showed a screenshot of him being banned for harassing other players. Turns out the dude photoshopped it. It's fake. That photoshopped image led to and helped to instigate the witch hunt against ModMattK. Oh, let's talk about another guy who claimed to be banned for barraging streamers doing clue scrolls. Turns out he lied and was actually banned for botting. This post had 92% upvotes and over 1,000 karma. Once again, these posters who lied and aided the witch hunt and mob mentality against Jagex won't be held accountable for their actions. Oh, and hey, let's talk about Return of Wilderness, who tweeted that Jagex were liars and there were no chat log. Turns out he was wrong too. Suomi joined in on the circle jerk as well. Looks like both of them were completely wrong as well. I began writing the text for this video before the chat logs were released. I knew I had an unpopular opinion, but I also saw the hive mind of Reddit, the circle jerking, the group thinking, the witch hunting, the idiocity and the hatred that was being stirred in the community. But on a real note, some JMods getting a little backlash from a witch hunt wasn't so bad. But what happens when a witch hunt leads to a person being accused falsely of abuse or rape? What about thousands of people mistakenly witch hunting a fake terrorist? Oh wait, that actually already happened. Remember the Boston bombings? Before the real bombers were found, the Reddit detectives and social justice warriors were hard at work. Pretty soon Reddit got a name. It was a missing college student. Thousands of people joined in on the witch hunt against this guy, accusing him of being one of the Boston bombers. As it turns out, this missing 22-year-old college student wasn't the Boston bomber and had actually committed suicide a few days earlier. Absolutely horrible to see. This is why witch hunting is bad. Next time you see a witch hunt like this going on, be extremely skeptical. Luckily, this recent one was rather harmless, but next time it could be much worse. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is one of my longer videos and I wanted to tread carefully. I wanted to be accurate. I wanted to stick to facts. I want to prevent stuff like this from happening in the future. If you learned anything from this video, maybe it can do some good. If you can appreciate my approach to these issues and my work and effort, please consider subscribing. Consider checking out some of my other videos. As always, thank you guys for watching and have a wonderful day.